Hey, what's up, everyone? Ed Reiner here with your daily dose of mind stuff. Just messing around with the music on StreamYard here, the platform that I use to stream to you in multiple places at one time. It's pretty cool, and they have some pre-programmed music in here, and I was just kind of messing around. That was daydreaming. Here, take a listen. Hopefully, I will get my own music at some point. Would be kind of cool, but got to use what they have. So I want to welcome you to this episode. We're on day 57 of 100. And yesterday we went into these mental faculties that we have, that our higher power, the things that separate us from the animal kingdom. We've been conditioned to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. We live and correspond with our outer world with those senses. And that's also what the animal kingdom also has. They can see, a cat can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, but they can't think. They can't reason. They can't imagine, as far as we know. This is what separates us from the animal kingdom. So we went into that. Now we're going to go into today. John is going to go into our reasoning factor, and he's going to go into the inductive and deductive reasoning and the difference in the two. And it's a very important lesson. So pay attention, take some notes, and I'm going to pop it over to John, and we'll be back over here. Boom, boom. When he's done. See you in a minute.
We can reason, I said, two ways. We can reason inductively and we can reason deductively. Do you know the moment that you begin to entertain a new idea? If your conditioning is evaluating that idea, you may reject that idea only because of your old conditioning. But chances are even good that a person who has experienced a lot of good results in their life, when they're presented with a constructive idea, their conditioning will evaluate that idea as a good, constructive idea to move on to another dimension in their life. Think about it this way. Inductively, we have the ability to gather what is called facts. I'm going to give you a good example. There was a man one time who took a $5 bar of iron.
Give you a good example.
And with that $5 bar of iron, he started to really think, what can I do with it? Well, what have they done with it so far? Well, they use it as a paperweight. They use it to keep a door open. But he started to really think. He was using his inductive factor, his critical factor, his logical factor, his creative nature. He was using that to figure out, what can I do with this $5 bar of iron? In other words, he was thinking. And he started to put some facts together as to what he could do with this $5 bar of iron. That's what he found. He found a way to make kitchen cutlery by using and gathering facts and gathering information and bringing from the spiritual plane by bringing thought. The greatest power in all creation, power of thought. And he started to pull in these thoughts to figure out, what can I do with this $5 bar of iron? He found a way to make kitchen cutlery. And he sold it for $250. But someone else came along and they gathered one more piece of information. They started to gather a little more information. I can do something more with that $5 bar of iron. And they arrived at a premise. What's a premise? It's an idea. Science approach every subject with an idea or the premise that there is an answer. He approached the new idea with the $5 bar of iron, that there was a better thing to do with it than kitchen cutlery, and he found it. And he made balance springs and put them in your watch. And he sold it for $250,000. I want you to think about you as a $5 bar of iron. Really stop and think about you as a $5 bar of iron. Because you see, if you're not thinking, you are going to leave your mind open to a world of conditions and to a world of circumstance. You will be totally deductive to why something won't work, to people who say it won't work, to all the adversities that are going to go wrong, to the economy and to everybody in it. You'll become totally deductive to the fact that it won't work. That's going to happen to us from time to time. But if you're not thinking, then your mind is idle. And Napoleon Hill will say right in that book, Think and Grow Rich, this is what he said. He said, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. You've got to specifically stop and think about almost every idea that's presented to you. Is it something that will enhance my life? Rather than becoming totally deductive to it. Let's see how well you remember that. Would you just take your hand like that once more? Let's see if you remember. And just take it and place it on your cheek like that. Now, where's your cheek? Oh, some of you were going right along with me there, weren't you? All right. So on this page, we're talking about, we have the intellectual factors of reason, intuition, perception, will, memory, and imagination. We will never, ever use them if we don't invoke our inductive factor or the ability to think. Tremendous power, tremendous potential, tremendous things wait for everybody who will actually use their intellectual factors to work with this phenomenal potential. So on page 13, your deductive reasoning factor does not have the ability to reject ideas. Think about it. Your inductive reasoning factor does not have the ability to reject an idea. How often have we become totally subjective to an idea or to a group of people without giving it any thought or consideration? It only has the ability to accept and turn over to the treasury of the subconscious mind whatever is offered to it. When your inductive reasoning factor is inoperable, set aside, or not engaged, you are not thinking for yourself. Now, you must follow this book with me. It is vitally, vitally important. If you were in a very positive environment when your conscious mind was in a deductive state, you would automatically become the benefactor of that positive energy that you're surrounded by. It says, however, if your conscious mind was in a deductive state and you were in a negative environment, you would automatically become the benefactor of all the negative energy your senses come into contact with. It says your negative energy comes from many sources: people, papers, television, radio, even loved ones. It passes directly through your conscious mind and causes you to feel or vibrate in a like manner. Think about that. Napoleon Hill often talks about, he said, I want you to imagine, he said, that there's an energy constantly flowing to, with, and through you. And he said that this energy is flowing not only with, to, and through you, but also around you. And he said that energy is affecting people around you, just as their energy is affecting you and the people around them. And the people around them. A person who is continually in a negative environment and whose consciousness is deductive will very quickly become a product of that environment. What is meant by if their consciousness is deductive? In other words, if your belief system lends itself to persisting no more than a day, and you are around people whose consciousness will not persist any more than a day, the chances of you ever changing that persistence and staying in that environment are not very good. Are not very good. Let's go to the next page. The inductive reasoning factor. At the top, your inductive reasoning factor is your thinker. It is referred to in some circles as the critical or analytical factor. This is the part of your personality that actually separates you from all the rest of the animal kingdom, and it gives you dominion over your world. Remember something over there in Genesis 1:26? What did it say? You were given dominion over what? The fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and everything that creepeth on the earth. Do you think they referred to everything other than your results? Did they mean, Dan, everything but your income? Did they mean everything but your happiness? Did they mean everything but your health? We don't have time to go into the story, but I can tell you a story about health, just as far as my own my own family is concerned, about Maureen, who was very, very ill at one time. But she refused to give in to a life-threatening illness. She wouldn't become deductive to the fact that she could not become healthy again. She thought of all the reasons why she could and all the reasons how she was going to. And she would not listen or permit anyone who suggested anything remotely different. Anything remotely different than what she wanted to be, what she wanted to do, where she wanted to go. She wouldn't accept it. She wouldn't accept it. This is the part of your personality that actually separates you from the rest of the animal kingdom and gives you dominion over. Properly developed and applied, your inductive reasoning factor will turn you on and turn you into an excellent channel for creative energy to flow through. At the present time, presently, you are vibrating in a notion of magnificent thought and energy. We'll be getting into that a lot more tomorrow. But I want you to imagine yourself for a moment, if you could. Just stop and think. Like, just close your eyes for a moment. Go ahead and do that. Just close your eyes. Everyone close their eyes. And just imagine yourself living in this ocean of motion. Just imagine it. Picture it. You see this tremendous, tremendous mind stuff, an intelligence, if you will. Just imagine it. You're plugging into it. Right now, you're doing that. You're plugging into it. And you are drawing from it right now. As you stop and think, as you can see it, you are actually drawing from it, pulling from it. Do you know that of all the good of this universe, we're poured over each person in this room, the only amount of that good that you can have is yours only by right of your consciousness. The only amount you can have is the amount you're able to understand. You can only have what is yours by right of consciousness. Let's continue in the book. When these thoughts are brought together, they build creative ideas that can change your old conditioning and literally build your world more beautiful than you previously could have imagined. Let me tell you something that I just have absolutely no problem with anymore with regard to taking a number of thoughts. Bob mentioned this morning something about water. Water is energy at a certain state of vibration. Yes, no? Yes. In other words, it is two hydrogen atoms and one at a certain state of vibration. Think about this. Success is energy, a certain group of thoughts that form an idea at a certain state of vibration. Success is nothing more but energy in its most organized state of vibration. Failure, therefore, would be energy, a certain group of thoughts vibrating against natural law, known as confusion. It is energy in its most confused state of vibration. Is that difficult? I don't think so. What is health? It is an orderly state of vibration. But to achieve it, we must invoke and use our inductive factor, what we're talking about here. So when these thoughts are brought together, they build creative ideas that can change your old conditioning and literally build your world more beautiful than you previously could have imagined. You must, however, properly plant these creative ideas in the treasury of your subconscious mind, the part of your mind that transforms every impression that enters in it into physical form. The word was turned into flesh. Think about that. What is the word? It is the formulation of your thoughts into an idea. That's when it becomes the word transformed into a reality or in the form of a result. I'm asking you to examine that idea. Just examine it. In big black print in your book, I want you to really look at it. Will this idea improve the quality of my life? How many people here, for some time now, have had a great desire on something they want to be, something they want to do, and something they want to have? How many people have actually desired something that you have not yet accomplished? Now, honestly, would you put your hands up? Hold them way up high there. Hold them way up high. Just keep them up there for a minute. Now let them down, and let me ask you this. With respect to this idea, isn't it true you have had ways on how you can achieve it? Yes, no. Isn't it true that ideas have come to your mind on things that you should do, but you've rejected them because of why? Say it louder. Fear. Or is it old conditioning? Does the old conditioning tell you why you can't do it? Does it act as a reminder as to what went wrong the last time? Isn't it true that the last time someone told you, hey, you shouldn't do this, you failed, so you should listen to the next person again? So we've got to start using not our old conditioning, not being deductive. We've got to start to use what? Inductive reasoning. What is inductive reasoning? Tell me. Is it just thinking or thinking about? Yeah, now remember, now we're not talking about just mental gymnastics here. We're talking about working with the power of thought. Thinking is working with the power of thought. I don't know how many people are familiar with a place called Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. Well, that's where I come from, Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. It's not the end of the earth, but you can see it from there. And it's a little coal mining town. No, that's really a different place there. It's a little coal mining town just down Nova Scotia there. Quite a place. And I can remember my dad coming home there every day. And he had this big light on the top of a big hat to protect his head because he worked out under the sea in the coal mines. And he'd have all these old clothes on, and they'd be all dirty and black, and he just looked awful. And he'd come home and home and home and home and home and home. And a lot of people here know my dad pretty well. He used to say, it's all you got to do is work hard, and it's all you got to do is be honest, and you're going to win. Now, that's only partly true. Hill said in his book, and I have to hurry this up now, Hill pointed out in his book, until he said, we perish such foolish thoughts that working hard and being honest will bring us the desired riches. He said, we'll never change the result until we learn that we must invoke, implement, become aware of. He said this power of thought, and it's only reached, he said, through the inductive factor or through the ability to think. That's what thinking is. It is working with the power of thought to improve the conditions that you presently have and not allowing yourself to become deductive to all the reasons why it can't. So let me kind of bring this in for a landing then at the bottom here. If when an idea enters your mind, and it's happening all the time at a fraction of a second, the answer to the above question is yes, then the idea is very likely good for you. Will the ideas that you have held that enter your mind from time to time on how you can achieve a desire, the next time that idea enters your mind and you say, will this idea improve my life? You've got to act on the idea.
Sleeping at the wheel. I was actually writing down some notes there. Such a good session, and I really do like John Canary. He passed away here too, also this past year, 2023, I believe, or 2022. No, it was 2022. Time flies. But very, very good presentation on this subject of our inductive and deductive reasoning factor. So reasoning is our thinking mind. We have those intellectual factors, and he went over some stuff I thought that was really, really good, and I wrote some notes on here. One thing that he brought up that when he was reading through in the workbook here is a person who is continually in a negative environment and whose consciousness is deductive will become a product of that environment. And it reminded me of a quote that I believe it was Carl Maniger. He said that environment is more important than heredity, meaning that the people we surround ourselves with is more important than the genes that we have that are in. So if we look at that and you look at that explains why people that are on welfare are usually third, fourth, fifth generation welfare recipients, because that's the environment that they are in. And if they don't break that environment and change it, which it can be changed, they're going to remain there. It's almost like a prison, but they can get out of it at any time. So start to look at who you're hanging out with. You know, I've heard other people, maybe Tony Robbins said your five closest friends, those are going to be the people you're most like, or their incomes are going to match yours. I remember hearing someone had said something about being a billionaire. And he said he didn't have any friends that were billionaires. So he had to start hanging out with billionaires. So you can change your environment with everything now being so connected with online. It's very easy to change that environment. You might not be able to change your physical environment where you're at, but you can start joining groups, watching videos like the Daily Dose of Mind stuff, other videos, and start to get these ideas, even reading biographies of successful people or reading books that deal with improving yourself. That's a way of changing your environment. There's groups that you can get involved with on Facebook, and they're all over the place. You want to mix with people who are doing or that have the things that you want to have. Like I have a private group that I'm starting to put more information and starting to spend more time in with like-minded people. And the more like-minded people that get in there, you start to get ideas and you feel and you absorb that energy that they're in. That's going to affect your energy or your vibration to what you want to do. So I thought that was really, really good. And just a thought on the environment, super important. And then the other thing he asked, he said that when an idea comes in, we have to ask, will this idea improve the quality of my life? And then he said that, is it true that you've had ideas that would improve the quality of life, that would improve your business, that would improve the bottom line, that would improve your income, your health, your relationships, but you haven't acted on those ideas? And he asked why. And then you could hear everybody say fear. Now this one always got me because I've had ideas for years on how to improve things, and I've gathered information that would skyrocket my business, that would do all these things, but I wasn't doing those things. I wouldn't step out and do them. And I always heard that from people saying, yeah, it's because of you're scared. Well, I wasn't scared. Then he said, or could it be your old conditioning? And that really rang true with me because majority of the time I'm not scared. I'm pretty good at passing through fear. I mean, I started doing one way to get through fear, like these lives. 100 days I'm doing lives. Decided to do it, and I start doing it once the decision is made. So I can get through the fear, but some of the other things I'm not doing, it's the old conditioning. We've got to break the old conditioning. What is the conditioning? That's our paradigm. And that's why Bob always would talk about shifting the paradigm. The paradigm has control over us. It has control over our habitual behavior. And the thing is almost all of our behavior is habitual. So if we want to change the behavior, we want to change the conditioning, we have to change the paradigm. And that's what these videos are designed to. That's what the program we're watching right now and going through on Born Rich. That's why I'm going through it. That's why I got my old workbook out and I'm redoing it and going through it again because we're constantly changing the paradigm. We're constantly going through that, which we'll go later, and we've seen in other videos, that terror barrier. We have to constantly grow. And the way we can do that is it's a continually studying ourselves. It's a daily habit of improving ourselves, studying every day. And that's what these videos are doing. That's why I'm doing these videos, because this is my daily study and what I'm doing. So that's all we have time for today. Tomorrow, we are going to get into, Bob is going to talk about a formula for financial freedom. And this is super simple. And a lot of people won't do it, but it is a formula for financial freedom. It's not the formula, it is a formula. It's just one way. So I hope you enjoyed this. Go ahead and like this, subscribe, share it, bring somebody and come on live, leave me comments so we can get some interaction going. We'll make it fun, but let's run on out of here with, we'll go back to the daydreaming. So this is Ed Reiner, your daily dose of mind stuff. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace. God bless.